Well, this is KOINE news broadcast. KOINE, again, just a reminder if this is the first video that you selected. KOINE means common. Common. Of course, it's the kind of language the New Testament was originally written in. It's the kind that helps us understand more clearly things that have become very abstract or complex, maybe by just going back to the original text, the more common way of expression. Maybe that would resolve matters. So could KOINE help us? Let's say we use the preposition, just a small interesting part of speech. And can the KOINE and how it uses it help us, for example, with the idea you hear today, well, actually for last generation, you've heard, we've all heard so many things said about the end of the world, and those theories continue to expand and continue to be developed, and various micro elements of those theories or constructs, mental systemic constructs, continue to be over-refined and ever-expanding. But can we go back and see if the KOINE common way of speaking to us from the scriptures, could it help us? Well, there's a preposition pronounced, or it's S-Y-N, seen, as in what we see synthetic. These are just transliteral terms. This is also a Greek word. This is a position and together with. So we hear about, let's say, a synthetic fiber. It's one that's been constructed by fibers sewn or placed together, or material. For example, different kinds of polymers in plastic, or density levels in plastics. It's called synthetic. So we would think sometimes that's artificially created. Well, it's true. The KOINE language is synthetic. Words have been placed together. But this preposition here, seen, or pronounce it sin, I guess, however you wish to do it. It usually appears like this, and there's a text about, people talk about the rapture. It's a term used to describe those of us who are living and remain. So first of all, describing this preposition, and again this tiny little manual grammar of the Greek New Testament by Dana and Manti. It's probably online now. It's a 1927. No one really wants these little old powerful books anymore. But it says it is used almost exclusively with persons and implies close fellowship or cooperation. So with that information about this interesting part of speech, preposition, we can look at a text. Now I'm going to compare several texts. This one, I've never really studied this text before. It's called the Greek New Testament according to the majority text. And in 1 Thessalonians 4 and verse 17, this preposition appears twice. I've highlighted it in yellow. You can see there. And by just taking our time for a moment, and this is the text. It begins, afterwards we ourselves, and that's emphatic. And again, this is a very wordy language, very common language. It's, as I've often said to students or while teaching, that after we spell it out, it really leaves a lot less, or leaves little to be interpreted, if you will, as people call the word. Most people mean by interpretation conjecture. But afterwards we ourselves, the living ones, and he says, appositionally speaking, restating that, the ones, and this word is passive, and it's a participle, being, and it's from two words, left, and then the word peri, which is the word from which we get circle, like perimeter, left, being left around. It says, we will be seized away, and that's also two-part word, seized away, and it speaks of, there's an adverb here, and I like to translate simultaneously. Sometimes people spell it out at the same time, but adverbially speaking, I try to use an adverb where we can. So here, remember, we're focusing on the preposition simultaneously, seized away simultaneously, and here's that preposition seen. Let's just put it up here so we can remember it. Together with, well, let me go ahead and change the color so we can keep the emphasis where we wanted it. Together with, you can see it's much stronger than just simply saying with. It's together with them. Together with them. And we would say, go back here, together with them in clouds. In clouds. So you can see right now just this word here alone gives a strong relationship, as we were reminded earlier. Well, the preposition, for example, just this small word. Let's just stop for a moment. Somewhere in all that I've been told and have heard about rapture constructs that have been placed together, it's somewhat ironic that the construction and placing together of things to, let's say, develop eschatological explanations, if you will. Certainly it's ironic that it would require you to break this apart, because it says afterwards we ourselves the living ones, because in verse 16 it already pointed out that the dead in Christ would rise first, because at a command or a charge Jesus would come and the dead in Christ would rise first. But then it says the living ones, the ones being left around, we will be seized away simultaneously. So the adverb here, an entire lesson could be done just on the adverb and how it would affect positively or negatively. The negatively maybe an over-refined theory, or positively a better understanding. But together with them, so here you can see there is no ability in the text to break apart or disconnect the seizing away simultaneously, that is, to break apart the living ones from the dead ones. And that would be necessary to then be able to go throughout the text arbitrarily and say, well, this is the return, this is the seizing, this is the rapture. So it certainly is much, well, let's just say it's much more simple, much more common, the way the expression is. And we'll finish this expression. I'm going to have to erase this. My little board doesn't have a chance to support all the data when I'm trying to talk like this. But anyway, it continues, the sentence or the passage continues unto a, and it's a meeting, but it's not a verb here. It's actually just a noun. So you could say a conference. I only like conference because it's a noun. But it's really a come to Jesus meeting, if you will. If you ever want to know where that is in the Bible, this is a good place, one of the places. And this is a conference of the Lord. And this is the word controller. Lord means controller. And this is all about Him and His return. And this is into an air. It's a word air. More like what we would probably realize this is what we call our atmosphere. And then it goes on and says, and, or thusly, we shall always be. And then here's that word again, that preposition again, always be, together with, and then of course it's controller. There's no article there. Controller. Lord. So anyway, in common expression, now I've never used this text here, this thing called a majority text. It's just, you find this stuff sometimes for just a few dollars in these reduced items, or where they're trying to just clear an item or a shelf of products. So you can pick these things up if you want to compare them. It's a good thing to do, especially when you're trying to find out exactly what it is that's so confusing or difficult today when you read so many. There's voluminous amounts of data out there. I say it, more than voluminous amounts of data. There's probably been more written about rapture theories today. I'm trying to, this is a 28th edition Nestle-Aland text with a dictionary. I have it primarily because it was given to me this year as a gift, for which I was grateful to have it, because you can compare, and when you're trying to understand and see just how strong is this argument, and find out here, yes, we can see here that afterwards we ourselves, the living ones, the ones being left around, will be simultaneously seized away together with them. So it uses the preposition here twice. So in this 28th edition Nestle-Aland, the Greek New Testament core majority text, and then of course you can turn and check this out in what they call the Textus Receptus, and you can turn here as well and see, and it does say also, afterwards we ourselves, the living ones, the ones being left around, shall be seized away simultaneously together with them in clouds unto a meeting, there's that word meeting or conference, of the Lord, into air, and thusly shall we always be together with Lord. Again, so the Nestle-Aland 28th edition, the Textus Receptus, and then this type of text here, a majority text, which must not be very popular, as cheap as, I think I got it for less than maybe $5 or something. Anyway, so you can use these out. So it appears that the KOINE, from all these different available very inexpensively, you can just have these. If you like hard copy, you can get them online though. I still like books, but this would support a strong case, or the original position, by just use of a preposition. You can see that what prompted me to do the study was I was very much not disappointed, and not dismayed, because growing up I was more than capable of chiming in when banter or arguments or conflicts. I always had probably less time than energy for it. I was always under constraint of time with my schedule and the way I had to work and attend school. However, I was struck later in life to find that people were becoming very divisive over something that would be the very antithesis of the condition of God's people upon the return of Christ. Should we simply adhere to his teachings, we would definitely not consider ourselves prepared or ready, a ready people for the Lord's return, when we were seeking out, it appears to be seeking out deliberately ways to contrast someone's eschatology, or to somehow divide over something that doesn't have support in the text. And I remember talking about a text, and someone said, well, that text refers to the rapture. And then I was referring to another text, and the person said, well, that text refers to the return. I said, how could you know that? And it was an arbitrary assignment that was based on what did you need the text to support. Again, most people use the Bible to support what they've already constructed, and not necessarily do we find many people supporting what the text has always said. But this preposition will help you in the common KOINE text, together with appears twice in that text. And it'd be difficult for someone to take the return, and then you have the resurrection, and then break this apart, and I'll go ahead and use the word rapture because it alliterates. It'd be impossible from the common text to sever these two and to somehow think of the, let's say, resurrection independently of the rapture, because these two are joined together, because the dead in Christ, it says, are simultaneously seized away together with. So simultaneously an adverb and together with. So these are joined, this event, the people are together with, and then of course the adverb that I showed you in that text. So anyway, this was just an information. It would be nice to see people unite around the KOINE, the common text, because all Christians believe the Bible, and all Christians, common Christians especially, always yield to the authority of the original text. It's not about another interesting viewpoint or vantage point. It's always about authority. And does the original text hold the ultimate authority? And it always does. It's always the determinant in doctrine or in matters such as what we hear today and have to, regrettably, to live with. Okay, so enjoy that liberation. That is the liberation and freedom that comes from study. And for those of you who've already known this, just enjoy the reinforcement of it.